Good evening, everyone. How's everyone feeling? A little more energy than that. How is everyone feeling? Well, hopefully by this time next year, when you get asked that question, one, you'll be able to answer it with a more enriched vocabulary about your emotions and also with a little more energy. And that's what one of the initiatives that we've implemented into the school this year at the Bar Middle School. We have the concept of what we call the Mindful Night. Over the years, there's been various initiatives in the school focusing on mindfulness, focusing on growth mindsets, the power of yet, focusing on kindness. And last year, we took a team of teachers and was sent out for training on the socio-emotional intelligence piece, which we did through the Yale University using the ruler concept. So you'll hear a lot of this stuff coming out this year. A team of teachers went out, got trained, came back to the school, trained the entire faculty on the socio-emotional piece. And this year is the first year that we're rolling this out to students. So I want to give you an overview of what your students are going to go through this year, and also know that there are plans in the future of offering something to parents in terms of information about what ruler is, what the social emotional piece is, and also about getting more information so that you can make use of the tools and also implement some of these concepts at home. They're not just an education thing, but Nanuet is definitely taking a lead in making sure that we address every aspect of child's education, not just are they learning properly, but also how do they feel when they come to school. So one of the things that we talk about in the Mindful Night, besides, and incorporates all these pieces through Ruler, and what you see here is the mood meter, is one of the most visual tools that Ruler uses. We begin by first defining what's an emotion versus a feeling versus a mood. Okay, most of us just interchange the three, but an emotion is basically a quick reaction to a stimulus or a response. Someone jumps out from behind the door and yells, "Boo," you get scared. That's an emotion. Then we go into feelings. Feelings are the interpretation of those emotions. They last longer. Emotions are quick, where feelings tend to last a little longer. And then we go into what is a mood. And a mood is not really triggered by stimulus. A mood is something that can be affected by an environment. And a mood is something that can be permeated for a longer period of time. So the main difference between what's an emotion, a feeling, and a mood is the time in which that lasts. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to ask our students, why do emotions matter? And as we all know that there's various times where we show up to work or we show up from work and you could be in a good mood, something happens and it changes your mood dramatically. Your mood will then affect how you perform, the energy you give to the next task, also how you approach that. And some of us just, we need better tools to be able to regulate those emotions so that we can then present our best self in every situation that's given. So we're going to ask your children, as we're going to ask you today, why emotions matter. How do you want to feel when you're in school? So we're going to ask you, that's what the cell phones are for. We're going to get to that in a piece. We're going to ask you, how do you want your children to feel when they're in school? So we begin by processing what's called our charter. And in different aspects of mindfulness and kindness and growth mindset, all have an aspect of there has to be something that the students take ownership with, that they create, that they say, this is what we want to feel when we're in school. This is how we accomplish that. And these are the things we need to do to foster that. So the answer to those three questions, how do you feel in school? How do you want to feel in school? And what do we do to get you to those feelings, are the process of creating what we call their constitution or their charter. That's already in process. Most of the charters are already done. The students have already answered these questions. We've tallied up all their responses, and we've given them back, which you'll see present in all the classrooms and around the building. You'll see what each grade has come up with, the way they want to feel, what actions will tend to feel that way, and what they can do to continue to feel that way consistently throughout the school year. After we work on the charter, the next lesson they'll receive in a couple of months is about the mood meter. The mood meter is a tool that helps you visually chart where you are emotionally. You see the yellow and green sections are talking about your pleasantness in the mood that you're feeling. So if you're down the center, you're really not pleasant or unpleasant. As you move more to the right, that means those feelings are feeling more pleasant to you than they are unpleasant. As you move into the red and the blue areas, we're moving towards feelings that are unpleasant. Okay? All these emotions do play a role in education. We're not saying that any emotions are better or worse than others. There are ways to channel each emotion and use them productively in and out of the classroom. We're honing in on the piece in the classroom, and we're hoping that throughout time, you guys will be able to gain the strategies and the tools to hone that piece at home as well. The cutoff between the red and yellow and the blue and green is the level of energy. So as your energy level is increased, you're higher up on the mood meter. As your energy level decreases, you're lower on the mood meter. So we have pleasantness with high energy, which is yellow. Pleasantness with low energy, which is green. Unpleasant with high energy, which is red. And pleasant with low energy, which is our blue quadrants. Okay, and throughout the year, we'll ask your students to tell us where they feel, what color are they in, and then there's a set of vocab words that are also matched to each quadrant, okay, which is what we're going to do to try to build their emotions vocabulary. So when we ask them how do they feel, the answer is not just going to be good. They'll be able to more accurately describe how they actually are feeling and also be able to regulate those emotions. And if they want to be, if they're in the blue section but they want to be in the yellow, we want to give them strategies on how to get themselves into that quadrant. Once we introduce the mood meter, the next part, which is a mindfulness concept, is about the meta moment. The meta moment is that moment in between the stimulus and the reaction. It's that moment where we can take a second to reflect on what just happened rather than just quickly reacting to it and saying, what would my best self do in this situation? We're going to try to get our students to be able to reflect before they react and think about, why am I feeling this way? What triggered it? Where do I want to feel? What would my best self do in reaction to this stimulus, rather than just quickly react, create a situation that might just snowball into something that's not favorable towards education or the way they want to feel. So we're going to introduce the meta moment to them as well. The final piece is more of the internal conflict and the interpersonal conflict resolution, which we call the blueprint. Okay, the blueprint is basically strategies that we give students to reflect on their actions, how their actions affected them, how their actions affected others, and what can we do to make sure that we still continue to achieve the feelings that we want to feel throughout the day, be able to troubleshoot through these actions, and be able to do conflict resolution amongst themselves. The goal here is to have the students take more ownership of how they feel, regulate their emotions, and be able to communicate to each other what is it that they're feeling, why they're feeling that way, and where they want to go with their feelings. So that it becomes less, we want to cut down on detention, we want to cut down on in-school suspensions, we want to be able to have the students self-regulate themselves and be able to understand that the way you feel matters in life, in everything that you do. And the better you are at regulating your emotions, the better equipped you're going to be at working through things in life and being able to communicate with people. And that's the socio-emotional piece that we're working on with Ruler.
Hi everybody, my name is Megan Heim. I'm one of the school counselors here. So Mr. Henderson did a great job of kind of introducing what Ruler is, what it's going to look like for our students, and how to be implemented here in the classrooms. But for you as parents, we really want you to fully understand what it is and why social-emotional learning is so important. So the committee pictured here has spent the last year and a half being trained and researching what Ruler is and why it's important for our schools. So to help you as parents better understand what it is and what it's going to look like, we as a committee are going to be sending out an electronic monthly newsletter. So in that newsletter, we're going to break down what each anchor tool is, how it's being enrolled in the teacher's lessons, specific examples of how your children are practicing these techniques in school and in their classes with their teacher. Research is showing us also that for these techniques to be most successful and most effective is a really collaborative parent-school relationship. It's essential. So we're hoping with this newsletter, you'll learn and gain some techniques that you can implement in your home and have your children, our students, be the best they can be.